Hello, I'm Ben Rafferty. I'm the IT Support Learning Specialist, and I'm here to give you an update on some of the new tools in Gemini and NotebookLM. We're encouraging staff to use these tools, and Gemini and NotebookLM are not being trained on our data. So as long as you're signed in with your work Google account, they're as secure to use as anything else in your Google account. It's been a big month for Gemini, and the Gemini 3 model has been released, upgrading from Gemini 2.5. So what this means is that Gemini has got a lot more intelligent as an AI, and it's now the leading model on many of the AI benchmarks. It can handle more complex tasks, and that new model is now being used in other tools like NotebookLM and Nano, which is Google's image generator. These tools are combining together more than before, which is proving very useful. So if you've not used the Gemini app before, you can go to gemini.google.com up the top here. And once you get there, you will see this page here, and you can put your prompt into here and ask your questions of Gemini. In this new model, this bit over here has changed. So previously you would see you could ask Gemini Flash or Pro. Now you've got the option between fast and thinking with 3 Pro. So if you want quick responses, you can click fast here. If you're willing to wait a little bit longer and get more in-depth responses, you can click on thinking here as well. So you can choose the model of Gemini that you're talking to there. Another update is if you select deep research. Previously, you would ask a question and it would search hundreds of websites and come back in 10 minutes with a report that it had written on your question that you had asked it. But now you can choose to give it access to your sources as well. So you can choose on here if you wanted to search the web or search your emails or your Drive or your chat messages. And you can also upload your own files as well. So where I found this particularly interesting is that if you give it one of your files, say like a spreadsheet with a list of transactions, it can go to the internet and find out about the products that are mentioned in that spreadsheet, and then you can get reports giving you information about the trends in purchasing, the costs that are taking into account inflation at the time that's happening from the data, whether you got good prices for those products, things like that. So really, really interesting. So try that out with some of your own files, but do be careful if you're putting in very large spreadsheets, because you might hit what's called the context window limit. So the context window with Gemini is the number of tokens that Gemini can process in one go, and at the moment the token limit is set at 1 million tokens. And the token is about 4 characters. So longer words we split up into multiple tokens. So although 1 million tokens is massive, a very big spreadsheet can quite easily go over that limit. So put a check in with your prompt. Say something like, tell me the date range that you've analyzed, to make sure it took in all the data if you're putting in those big spreadsheets. So Nano, which is Google's image generation feature, is now upgraded to Nano Pro. You can see it saying here. And it's now got much better at generating text and graphs, infographics, that sort of thing. It can also take in up to 10 images as sources now, and you can combine those images to create a new image. It can also create much higher resolution images, and it can create things in different aspect ratios, and it can also take in a lot more context in the prompt, so you can give it much longer prompts and it will understand those prompts. If you want to create an image, you can click create image here, and then you can put your prompt in here about what you want to in your image. You can press that plus and you can add in your own photos or documents, whatever you want to use to create that image. So I went and found the instructions we've got on the process for requesting a new shared drive from IT support, and I pasted those in to Gemini, and I asked Nano to create me an infographic explaining that process, and this is what it came up with. So you can see the sort of improvement in detail here from what we had a few weeks ago. So all the text is correct, it all makes sense, it's understood that process and created something which helps explain it to the users. And we've got it's even taken which bits to select on Ivanti, so extremely useful and extremely powerful. So yeah, creating those sorts of infographic things. It's got much better at creating graphs from data. It's got much more more accurate with that sort of thing. So try it out, see what you can do for your team. An example I found on the internet that I thought was really interesting is someone took, this is the prompt that they put into Nano Banana here, and they've given it a picture of these two people and this landscape and a hand-drawn image of the poses that they want Nano Banana to use for that image, and they put all of that in, and then it's created this image here. So you can, if you start to think about that and how you could use that for other things, this is really kind of going to make a difference to how you're creating those images. And this image generation ability has now been combined with the other apps. So in NotebookLM, it can now use Nano Banana to generate images in the video overview and to generate slides. So to get to NotebookLM, you can open a new tab and type in notebooklm.google.com. And if you haven't used NotebookLM before, NotebookLM is like Gemini, but it only looks at the sources that you give it. So you can put in up to 300 sources, which can be documents, websites, videos, pictures, audio, and then it combines all of those things together to make a knowledge base that you can then ask questions of, and everything that you ask it is based on those sources that you gave it. So I've put in the Sutton Corporate Plan document in here as a source. So in NotebookLM, you've got your sources on the left. So I've only put one source in here, but you can put in 300 if you want to. So I've put in my source here. I can then ask questions in the middle bit, and then on the right hand side I can generate outputs, so different sorts of documents and images and things like that. So some of the new ones that have been added in here is now you can create a slide deck based on the stuff that you gave it. So I asked it to create one of those for us, and here is the slides that it generated. I did absolutely no work towards this. So here's the report. It's generated all of these images, it's summarized the report and written this slideshow. Another new feature is the infographics. So by asking for that, it will create a infographic explaining the sources that I've put in there. So this is what it created for that same document there. It's taken that whole report and condensed it down into this poster, which I think looks really good, and it's also got all the main topics in there. So this, again, very, very useful for creating things, trying to explain things to people, or trying to create nice things for presentations, stuff like that. Another new feature in NotebookLM is we now have deep research in NotebookLM as well. So like I said, these things are all sort of combining together a bit. If you do the deep research in the Gemini app, it will go off and write you a report based on what it's found from your sources and found from the internet. In NotebookLM, it will go off and you can ask it your question, and it will go off and find sources relevant to that topic, and then you can then ask questions from those. So let's come into here. I've asked it to find out about trends in AI adoption at UK local councils. I ticked that deep research button, and it's gone off and it's found 23 sources. I can see what these sources are here and decide if I want to use them. And if I do, I can then import those sources, and those are now the knowledge base that I've got to work with in NotebookLM. So it's pulling in those sources here. If I don't want to use any of them, I can untick them as well. And then it's putting them all together to create this knowledge base here. And then if I wanted to learn about that topic, you've got things like the audio overview. So audio overview is where you can create a podcast about the information you've put into this notebook. So I could now come in here and create a podcast that I can listen to, and very quickly I've learnt quite a lot about a topic I didn't know anything about. So that can be extremely handy. One of the other new features is that you've got a lot more customization now in these things that you're creating. So if you click the pencil here, you can decide if you want a deep dive podcast or a brief podcast, or these other ones here. You can decide the length of the podcast as well. So the default is about 20 minutes. A short one will be sort of 5 minutes, and the long one is like 45 minutes or so. So you can learn a lot about a topic very, very easily. And you also have the video overviews. So that is more like a presentation about the information that's in the sources. So you've now got a lot more customization in that as well. So you can choose the art styles, so it gives you some pre-made art styles here, or you can use a prompt to create your own art style as well. You can tell it what to focus on, and then it will generate that video, which will be a kind of series of slides with someone talking over the top explaining what's in there. So if we go back to the Sutton corporate plan, here's the video overview here. I'll turn the sound off so we can have a quick just scan through of the images, but you can see it's creating these images on the fly to pinpoint things in that report. So much more interesting visually than before, and yeah, really useful, and a brilliant way to again learn something quickly about a topic or something like that. A few other updates: so those audio overviews which started in NotebookLM, you can now get them in the Gemini app as well, and you can now get them in the preview window. So if you've got a PDF document and you open it up in that preview window in Google Drive, you can now generate an audio overview about that document from within that window. So it's not going to look at all the other sources, it's just going to tell you about that one document. So that can be really useful. And another update is that if you're using Gemini to take notes for you in a meeting, if you're having a really long meeting or something really complex, you can now choose here on the length of notes that you're going to get. So previously they were always the same sort of couple of paragraphs summary. Now you can ask for longer notes if you want to get some more detail out of those Gemini generated notes. So try that out as well. I hope you found that useful. Enjoy trying out all these new features, and thank you very much.